Hey there my friend, I'm Abby from Abbi Kirsten Collections. In this tutorial, we're making 3D layered shadow boxes with the help of our Cricut machine, and I'm going to be featuring these 4 really pretty landscape designs. I am using a Cricut cutting machine for this and my standard grip green mat. I'm also using a scoring stylus for my foldable box frame, as well as a brayer tool to press my material to the mat. For adhesive, I'm using the Barely Art liquid craft glue and the Barely Art foam cubbies to create some space between our layers, and I'm also using a medium weight cardstock from the 12 by 12 cardstock shop. I am getting all of the layers of this project cut out. If you need more help setting up your file in Cricut Design Space, there's information linked on that below in the video description. So here are all my layers cut out and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and first you want to stack them in the correct order. And you'll know this by referring to your file in Cricut Design Space. Take a look at the layers and how they are stacked in the file. It's also important to note that not all of the layers should have the 3D foam cubbies between them. For example, the layers for our sun here, or with this shadow box, how we have the layers with like the stars and the moon, you're going to want to use glue for those layers, and you want to focus on adding the elevation with the cubbies for the layers that you want to sort of be more the focus and stand out. For example, like the mountains or the wave or the hills in our design here that we're working with, our desert scene design. So I've got all these stacked in the right order, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottom 2 layers. So I'm going to begin with my Barely Art glue, and I'm just going to generously add that, making sure that I've got it on all the corners, and then we're going to just flip it right over onto that solid square piece. My shadow box here is 8 by 8. The design is the 8 by 8 size. That's usually a pretty good size to stick to, and that's what I would personally recommend, but you can scale these a little bigger or a little smaller if you wish. I'm going to repeat again with this layer, and the reason I'm doing glue again on this layer is because I want those layers where the sun rays are shining through, I want those to stay flush together. I don't want them to have a bunch of space between them, so I'm not going to put the cubbies on those layers. Not to mention the more intricate nature of the sun would be a little difficult to get the cubbies behind. But for this layer here, where we're starting to add the hill scene, I'm going to be placing those 3D foam cubbies along the top sides and center area there. And this is going to add just a little bit of elevation. Like I said, pick your layers strategically with what you're doing with these cubbies. You don't want to overuse them. So here's where we're at with this one, and we're just going to continue on with each of these layers. So this next layer here, I do want to add those cubbies to as well, because it's a hill and it kind of looks like a rolling hill, and there's some space created there, so I went with the cubbies for that. And we're going to continue to place each layer on top until we reach the topmost layer. Okay, so now I am just going to add on the final touches here with my little cactus plant. So you'll see that there's a couple different layers there. I'm using the Barely Art glue for that, just the glue to get them together. There's a couple layers for each, and then I'm going to place them into the design after I get those layered together. Now, once you get this part done, you can absolutely stop and then put this into like a traditional wood framed shadow box, or you can make our 3D cardstock shadow box frame, and it's made from paper, so it's super cost effective and easy to make. So I'm going to show you that in just a second here. I'm going to get these plants placed here. I'm just using a little bit of the glue to place the plants, but you can also use, the foam cubbies to sometimes like support different angles of them when you're dealing with layers where you've got several layers deep. Sometimes using glue and the cubbies can actually work well together for certain layers, but it worked pretty well just to do straight up glue for this. And then I'm going to add that additional final layer right over the top here. Mine's blue, and this is the final like frame piece. So you can add this on with glue, and then you could place this right into like a shadow box frame, like I said, or you can take it one step further and you can actually make a cardstock shadow box frame, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm placing this layer on here, and this layer is in the end going to get pretty hidden overall because I'm going to end up with the box frame made of paper, but you'll still see it kind of peeking through as an additional layer, so it's still a nice little extra touch. So that's how our layered shadow box scene turned out, and these are all made very similar. It's a very easy beginner craft to create if you're new to paper crafts or to Cricut in general. This is a very easy win. So let's go take a look at how we can make our 3D shadow box frame from cardstock. So I'm going to cut that out here in some cardstock, and I'm using my scoring stylus that I'm putting into clamp A there. You could also use the scoring wheel if you have the Maker 3, or if you have the Maker 3 and you don't have the scoring wheel, then you can just change in Design Space. You can edit the tool to be the scoring stylus. That is always an option as well. So my Cricut is scoring and then cutting. And I'm going to flip my mat over and peel my mat away from my cardstock there. So this is the base piece here that's going to cover the back of it. I got that cut out. And now we need to fold our score lines here. So you can just fold those by hand by just following the line, or if you have something like a bone tool on hand, which is what I'm using here, that can help so that when you're folding, you can take it and really give it like a crisp crease as you're following those score lines. And you just want to go around on each of the 4 corners and the tabs and get them all folded, and then we'll glue it together. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to take my shadow box here, and I'm going to just gently kind of fold those edges back up just a little bit to create some more space so that I can slip our layered design inside. And it will fit quite snugly, so just take it one side at a time, and you'll see it will slide right in, and it will be kind of like edge to edge. And you can add some glue to the inside part of that frame before you actually put this in if you feel like there's a lot of space and you don't want it like moving around. Mine's fitting pretty snugly, so I don't feel like I need to add any glue to the inner side of the circle part of the frame. So I'm not doing that. And then I'm gonna add my glue along all 4 of those edges, and we'll place that cover on the back. So like I said, you don't really see much of the original top layer piece. It sort of peeks through a little bit, but you could technically, if you're going to do this part where you do the box frame out of paper, you could technically not cut that last topmost layer out for the shadow box layers. So what do you think of these designs? There are 4 really pretty, cute landscape scenes. We have a mountain range, a night scene, a desert scene, and a beach scene. You can find all of these templates linked below for you on members.abbikirstencollections.com. I can't wait to see you there, my friend. I'm Abbi Kirsten, your friend in the pursuit of craftiness. Bye for now.